Hey y'all, it's Brenda. Welcome to Life on Goldman Road. If you can, please excuse everything behind me because my kitchen is a wreck. Sorry. I've not felt like doing a whole lot. We have been having some great food and we've both been just kind of taking it easy. Clarence is, he is stretched doing other things here on the farm. And it just is what it is. It's life, right? Everyone has those days. So, today, it is Sunday. I am almost a week from surgery, post-surgery. Feeling pretty good. My belly button is still my tender spot, but that is normal. So, we are going to do a stew tonight. We don't have any food coming in. And Clarence smoked Boston butts Friday night. There was a benefit Saturday night for a lady with cancer. So they were raising money. So Clarence smoked 28 Boston butts Friday night. They were ready early Saturday morning. We had pulled pork sandwiches for lunch Saturday, and they were wonderful. So I now have leftover pulled pork. So I'm not a huge fan of pulled pork once it has been in the freezer and you rethaw it for like pulled pork sandwiches, but I can handle it. It's fine. So what we're gonna do is tear up that Boston butt. We're going to shred it. I'm going to get out as much of the fat as I can because I just don't like that in there. And we are going to put some of that into freezer bags to freeze. And the rest we're going to do in a stew. Now this is a variation of a stew that we do at the firehouse we hadn't done it in several years. We hadn't done it since 2020. But we did this stew for several years at the firehouse. This is my Uncle Jack's stew. And we normally had 3 big wash pots full. Now, when I say wash pots, think like when they used to wash clothes outside and over a fire, and they had these big black cast iron pots. That's it. So we have gotten all of those clean. We have seasoned them, and now we're able to cook in those. There's a lot of people that do stews and different things in them. They're good to cook in. They're cast iron. I mean, it's a great thing. But we usually do 3, and we're talking let me think if I can add right quick. So we would have about 3 bags of 15 pounds of potatoes. We would have, are you familiar with the number 10 cans? They're the big, sorry, I have my yardsticks. I've been after my dogs. They're the big cans, gallon-sized cans in the grocery store. It's like 100 and something ounces. In those. I've got one in the pantry that I'll show you what it looks like, but we're not going that big today. But we normally did 3 diced tomatoes, 3 sauces, 3 corn, 3 sweet peas. Then we would add probably about a 5-pound bag of onions or a little more to each pot. And we would add approximately 3+ pounds of baby carrots that we chopped. Water. And then 1 pot would be pulled pork. 1 pot would be chicken. And 1 pot would be a beef roast. Well, I say 1 beef. No, it was 2 beef roast. We would usually get 10 to 13 pounds of chicken breast and thighs. and then we would do a large Boston butt, which averages about 10 pounds. And we would cook that. Oh, that is so good. It's if you've ever had, you know, if you're a fire department or a church or anything does those homemade stews, it is just fabulous. Now, a lot of people would call it a Brunswick stew or something like that, but there are so many variations of that. We got away from that for years. This is Uncle Jack's stew. It's what it is. It's Low Butch's stew. So, we're going to do a scaled down version of that tonight. So we're going to be opening some cans. I'm going to be pulling the pork, cutting up some potatoes and onions. Let's see if we can get it together. Now, as you can see, I've got most of the fat taken off. It, like I said, is harder when it's cold. There are still some fat on there. It's, you know, it is what it is. Today we're making do. So I'm gonna shred some of this, and when I mean shred, I'm just gonna take a piece. This comes apart very easily. It's super tender, and to shred it, you're just gonna pull the meat apart, just like that. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, because once this heats, it's gonna just fall apart anyway. Now, I'll show you a couple of pictures of some of the smokers that Clarence has. But like I said, he did this all night, Friday night, low and slow. His optimal temperature when he is doing Boston butts is about 300 degrees. And usually he cooks 8 to 10 hours, depends on the meat. He will cook longer if needed. Some days, you know, that's just not enough. There's a bone in the middle of this Boston butt, and until that bone slips free easily, he will not stop the cooking process. So he really wants this done. Now, let me see if I can show you. That looks pink, right? Okay. It is a smoke pink. It is not an undercooked pink. There is a difference, and a lot of people roll their noses up at smoked stuff because a lot of it is pink and you think undercooked, and pork is one of those things you don't want undercooked. But the pink you see in pork is from the smoke. And eventually, maybe I will get, oh, there's a piece. Okay, so this, and this is not a very good piece, but this right here, this was the outside of that Boston butt. This was one piece of the outside. So this is called the bark. This right here is your money piece. Oh, it is heavenly. It has your seasonings on it. And it is just, that is my favorite part to eat of the Boston butt, is just the outside layer. It's very, very good. So I'm going to continue on with this. And probably what we're going to do is get stuff in our pot here. And then I'll add a little of this. I want to get my ratio in my pot right first. Then I can add the meat. So I'm just going to continue to pull this apart. What I don't use here in the pot, like I said, I'm just going to put into quart freezer bags. That'll be plenty for us. We can pull it out of the freezer for pulled pork sandwiches or whatever we want, you know, for a quick and easy supper. Now, I will probably have this, my intentions. It has been pretty today and it is nice, but the wind has been just a little cool. So my intentions is, there's a piece of fat that I missed. Put that right there. With the wind being a little cool, soup just, you know, stew, that just sounds good. So we are going to have this tonight, and what is left over, I've got to measure and cut back here. I'm sticking this fat in that I'm finding as I go through. But what we're going to do with the extra stew, then I will put also into quart bags, and we can have that as a quick and easy meal when we need something too. So I'm going to continue on with this, and we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, it is time to start getting some liquid in our pot. So we are going to start pretty much with 2 cans of everything, and then we'll go from there. But I've got to still peel and cut up my potatoes and my onions. I'm debating if I'm going to let them cook with the tomatoes, or if I'm going to add a little bit of water and just go ahead and cook them separate. That is usually what we do in our stew at the firehouse. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll cook the potatoes and the onions together, especially since essentially everything else is cooked. So let me get some water in the pot. I will dice my my potatoes just like I'm going to do potato salad. Not too big, not too small. And then I'm going to roughly chop my onion. So let me do that. Okay, we have our potatoes chopped up. You can see they're just in normal cubes. Our onions are in pretty rough chop, just big sections. So we're going to let these cook. We're going to let these cook for sure to cook. We don't want them to fall apart. We just want them barely getting tender because we need them to be a little firm when we put the rest of the stuff in. Okay, I know it's hard to see, but everything is starting to soften. So we're going to start with 1 can of diced tomatoes. We're going to do a can of sweet peas. And I'm doing liquid and all because I will need liquid for all of this. And then usually this is added last, but since everything is kind of ready to go, we're going to go ahead and add our whole kernel corn. Now, let us see what we are dealing with. We're going to add, I can get that onion off. We're going to add 2 more cans of diced tomatoes. Now, of course, we've got to season this because that's a lot of tomatoes. And a tomato just tastes better with some seasoning. So, we're going to add probably about a tablespoon of salt. There we go. Now, we will taste this as we go to see, how everything is doing. Now, I don't have any just tomato sauce or juice, so we will compensate with water, as we need to. So now we're going to add some of our pulled pork. And this, again, once it heats, it will fall apart. And it will be fine. Ooh! Let's get all that goodness in there, though. Can't be dropping it out everywhere. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, I think we're doing good right there with that. So what I'll do with the rest of the pulled pork is we're going to bag that up and get it ready for the freezer. Now, I am going to add a little water to this. This is where it gets really scientific. Right. We're going to add water. Now I'm going to add a little bit more than probably I should. But this is going to cook for a little bit. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's a cup from a restaurant. So it's just one of those big, 30-ounce cups. So we're going to give this a stir. We're probably going to need to season this a little more. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to make some cornbread to go along with this tonight. And we are going to enjoy it. But I'm going to taste this. Check my salt content. And also we'll add pepper. And maybe just a little bit of cayenne. So I tasted it. Salt is on point right now. We're going to keep a watch on it, but we're going to add some pepper. Maybe about a teaspoon. And we do like it a little hot. If we don't add this, then usually we'll do, a little hot sauce or something in it. Let me see if I can find my cayenne pepper. And it looks like I'm going to have to look for it, so hang tight. Okay, of course, tonight would be the night that I could not find my cayenne pepper. But this is it. It's going to cook for a while just to let all those flavors get together. I would normally put carrots in here, but I don't have any carrots, which is fine. This is like my favorite stew, without the carrots. Sometimes I eat them, sometimes I don't. A lot of people will fuss or disagree that because this is liquidy, it would be a soup, and for a stew, it would need to be thicker. Well, this is what we, in my house, consider a stew. If it has meat in it, it is a stew. If it is all vegetable, then it is a soup. Especially if it's homemade. Now, we'll do chicken soup and things like that, but this is just different. It's got a lot of hearty stuff in it, and it will thicken up just a little bit, but we like to keep it kind of loose. So we like that liquid in there. But I'm going to let this cook. I'm going to put our pulled pork into quart freezer bags, get those in the freezer, and I'll come back and make some cornbread. Here is my bowl. My cornbread got a little brown because I had a friend drop by with her little girl and I forgot about it. So, but I'm about to dig into this. It looks so good. So good. Anyway, let's go in for a taste test. I'll see you back in a minute. All right, guys, supper was great. That stew hit the spot on this cool night, so really appreciated that. Nice and warm inside now. I got 4 quart bags of the Boston butt, so they are in the freezer and ready to go whenever I want. We will eat on this stew tonight, and possibly tomorrow, we'll see. Otherwise, it will also go into freezer bags and into the freezer. Anyway, good. It was good. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for hanging out, coming along on this crazy ride. Dog got up in a chair. Never ending story, right? Anyway, until next time, I'll see you later.